Welcome to the Kindness Project, the podcast designed to share stories of kindness and share how kindness can make positive change in our world, one small act at a time.
On this week's episode of the Kindness Project, we talk about living on the veg, donations, and we have part 3 of our interview with Kevin Gaskell, the author of the book Inspired Leadership.
Welcome, my friends, to another amazing episode of the Kindness Project. I'm joined by a girl who is going to be my little travelling buddy for the next month or the next 3 weeks, and a man who is going to be my travelling buddy in September. It's Charlotte and Russell Dames. Now, how are we, chaps?
I'm good. I'm excited for our little...
Little? Sorry. It's not weekend in Bognor Regis. It's 21 days around Europe.
Yeah, we're not getting on the Eurostar to Amsterdam. We are going to Amsterdam.
We are going to Amsterdam, and we are going to our favourite Amsterdam eatery, if I get the chance, Omleg. We are going to have the...
Oh, you're going back to Omleg?
I'm coming back to Omleg, Russ.
I will be having a nugget of muesli.
You had your muesli last time.
I don't like eggs.
Well, you know what I want to try, Russ? I want to try the sweet omelette. Sophie had it last time we were in Omleg, and I want to try the sweet omelette.
What you want to avoid is going down all the back alleys like you did before.
That was fine, Russ.
That was I think the word, Russ, is educational.
Educational.
And I've heard you like the back alleys of Amsterdam.
I know. I've never been to Amsterdam.
The quick defence there is like...
I've heard that your Tinder username is Back Alley Russ.
Hey,
Oh,
that's my winder username.
Anyway, on that note, and then Russ, we're away in September.
Yeah.
Wait, when do you leave in September?
You know what? This is the problem, and we were talking on before the podcast.
Hopefully it's not in the diary, and then you'll forget, and I can avoid it.
Well, this is the problem. I actually booked say what?
That you booked something called golf day.
Yeah, well, I don't play golf, but it's a charity day, and Mark Halls, who's been has done the podcast and runs an amazing charity called First Step, invite me along to the evening bit with drinks and food and all that sort of stuff, all that sort of lovely stuff. And I can't go because I'm on a boat with you and Dad. So
I'll tell you what I'll do. Go to your golf day. I'll drive the boat down to the Thames and pick you up.
Perfect. That sounds like a good compromise.
Hopefully your boys' weekend away doesn't coincide with when I have to. When me and Mum are making our.
It's
our
after.
Trip. Oh,
no, it's after. So you're up in.
Go, Charlotte.
Huh?
When do
Early
you go?
September. Early September.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, so then that'll be me at uni, and then we'll be recording on 3 screens instead of just 2.
Yeah.
I did.
If we have a guest, we can record on 4. And if we have 2 guests, we can record on 5. How's that sound?
That'd be pretty amazing, wouldn't it?
It would be pretty amazing. So let's talk about what's going on. So under the visual question of the podcast is just super clear. What are you up to over the summer? Let us know your summer plans. We're doing a lot of travelling over the summer.
Oddly enough, we can't talk about that because that's a question coming up later.
Is it? Have I just demoed future question of the podcast?
You have.
Damn.
Well,
Stepping on your own toes.
yeah, but it won't be the first time we've used another visual question of the podcast for a future one. So I'm a bit relaxed
differently, but it's tenuous.
So what's the wording of the question?
Oh, spoilers.
What's your most favourite summer activity?
Power naps. Definitely. Love a power nap.
You do that year round.
I know. But it's my power naps are my favourite activity regardless of the time of year. Actually, I prefer them in the winter. How do you feel about power nap, Russ?
I love a power nap. I don't get as many as I used to, but I do like a power nap.
Right, let's just get clear on this, because I don't know if we spoke about this on the podcast before, because we do talk a lot of stuff. But what's the ideal optimum time for a power nap?
90
Well,
minutes.
the trouble I have, I say I'm going to have a power nap, then I'm waking up at 3 in the morning with my shoulder hurting, laying on the sofa.
Right, that's not a power nap.
That's not a
90
power nap.
minutes.
That's not a power nap. See,
According to
I'd
science,
take-
90 minutes.
I'd say roughly 2 hours for a.
see,
good
I
power nap.
think an hour for a power nap, hour to an hour and a half. Apparently, a power nap is 10 to 20 minutes. I can't even get cracking with a good sleep.
I won't do that.
20 minutes.
I do that most days in the middle of the day. Lay my head on my hand and close my eyes.
What, while you're working?
While I'm working, yeah.
It wakes
That's
up
what
and
you
more
pay
work
me
has
to
to be
do.
done than what's
Sorry,
done
you
before.
do realise that you're not only speaking to your brother, but also the geezer who pays your
Come here.
wages.
Let me just clarify with you. If I haven't answered an email within sort of 10 minutes, you
You're
know
having a
what
nap.
happened. I'm having a nap.
He's got
Now I
real
know.
tired working, and he's just
You know what? He does work hard, though, Pearson.
yeah.
He does work hard.
I don't know about that.
I gave him some new management responsibilities today,
Oh, yeah.
Charlotte, and he's got to now like sort of start supervising people and following people up. And
Right,
stuff like that.
I don't really enjoy all that, but
But you take it on because you like the challenge, right? Don't you?
I like to give it a go.
Yeah, and you will, and I'm pretty sure you're going to smash it. So all good.
Living dangerously there, almost clicked out of the Zoom.
Oh no! I tell you what, I
That'd be
am living.
awkward.
I tell you what, I am living dangerously today, Russ. Because you know what I almost did.
Okay.
WhatsApp on my laptop said it was updating. Do not turn off WhatsApp while you're
no.
updating your messages. I just thought, what happens if I actually turn it off?
And he hovered over it, and
And what happened?
I hovered over it, tempted to turn it off halfway
Well,
through an update.
That's not living dangerously, is it?
Well, what would you consider living dangerously?
I thought you was going to say you dove off a building with a parachute or something. Quitting WhatsApp while it's updating ain't going to do much. Just re-download it.
No, it's living dangerously, Russ.
you
Living
might get an
dangerously.
annoying message after, like that
Well,
guy
I
in the
know.
Animal Crossing games who will
Well-
float you if you don't save.
What if that message is everybody in your WhatsApp? Chris James quit while...
Exactly. I don't want
Chris
to be known.
James is a quitter.
I don't want to be known as a quitter, do I, Russ? There's the thing. What I do want to be known as a man who lives on the edge when it comes to WhatsApp. That's what I want to be known as.
Yeah, no, but doing that, like turning your phone off when it's updating, or like turning something off when it's updating, or like when something's coming through. I always expect. I don't know if you ever played the old Animal Crossing games, but there was this little mole guy, and he used to
Did
wear.
he have a name? This little mole
Lloyd.
guy.
No.
Lloyd the mole guy.
Might not have been Lloyd. Can't remember.
No.
That was an Animal Crossing character of some kind.
Wasn't that Leisure Suit Lloyd?
No, that Russ.
Oh, Leisure
is
Suit Larry.
The-
Lloyd is the guy who shows up when you try and build a bridge.
Yeah,
Oh,
Lloyd's
Lloyd
the
is the
guy.
little taupe guy. I can't
no,
remember
no.
the name of the mole, and he has a little yellow hat and some blue overalls. And if you don't save the game, he comes and pops up when you leave your house, and he goes, "You haven't saved the game. It's made me really angry." And he has a go at you.
What? Because you could lose all your progress.
Yeah.
What happens if you just turn it off?
Then he comes.
No, how does he know? How does he know
I
if
don't
the game's not saving? How does he know that you haven't saved your game?
Oh, fire. Same way WhatsApp knows if you switch it off while it's updating.
True. They're always looking, Russ. Leisure Suit Larry, by the way,
It is
was-
Leisure Suit Larry, isn't it?
was a game in the late 80s, early 90s that if we spoke about too much would probably get us cancelled. So we're not going to.
Yeah.
Oh
We're,
no!
we're, we're not going to do that. Yeah.
I need to know what this
Yeah.
guy's name was.
What the Animal Crossing guy?
Yeah,
I don't
Would we
think
do it
so.
after we stop recording the podcast or not?
yeah. I was just looking at cubes.
All right, okay.
Oh, I'm living on the edge.
Go
I'm
on.
living on the bench now.
You-
Hold on.
He's not living on the edge. He's living on the
Okay.
bench.
I got a good deal on a bundle of vegan cookbooks
Go on.
Amazon.
He's living on the veg.
I'm going 2 days a week living on the bench.
He's living on the veg. So Sophie's just giving you a little dance, which I'm assuming is what all vegetarians do when they've converted another vegetarian.
So my nurse that comes out is a vegetarian.
Is she living on the veg?
Hold on. I bought her the book for her birthday recently. And I see that they had the whole bundle on there. And yeah.
You got them for yourself?
I got them for myself and decided I looked through them. Well, some of these look quite nice. So I'm going to go 2 days a week vegetarian.
I think you've just done the best link from one subject to another we've ever had on the Kindness Project. I mean, I am just admiring the genius of going, we're talking about living on the edge. Let's talk about living on the veg. That was amazing. That just came out of nowhere.
He just gets
and he went into a story about cookbook.
See, that's because I had a power nap 10 minutes before I come on.
Well, hold on. 10-minute power nap or 2 hours?
No, I wasn't napping when I turned up late for this recording.
No. He was meant to be working. He was napping. That's.
I was
working
you need to speak to your governor about a disciplinary action, to be honest, right?
I need to speak to my governor about pay if this is.
Anyway, let's move on with the show. Otherwise, you know what? He's been inspired by the train strikes. It's like, right, I need to speak to my governor about.
This is my new management style.
Right, this is the problem, Charlotte. Right, it gives it the big one, right, and then when I say to him, "You are doing an amazing job. Would you like some more money?" You know what he says to me? Don't need it. I was like, take it. I can't get him to take more money.
I don't want it.
You don't want it,
Russ? Just stick it in a pot and give it to someone else.
I'm not going to do that. 2 reasons. I always donate if somebody's doing something, but I don't really believe in just giving people something for nothing.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now that is an interesting conversation.
Then maybe start a pot of money that you draw from whenever someone is doing something that you believe is worth the money.
Yeah, that might be worth doing.
Instead of just downright rejecting it, set it aside for a cause that you believe in.
Yeah,
or would you? I mean, I suppose, and again, I'd be fascinated to hear what our listeners think. Would you not give just to a cause you believed in?
Right.
Let's say, for example, I know, WaterAid. So you know that money's going to be spent on something really positive.
Yeah, but I don't know where that money's going.
Right.
Have you never supported a Kickstarter?
I don't know that they're not paying like they pay their staff. How much of my money is paying for that? If I was donating in good faith, I'd donate to anyone, sort of thing. But people.
But that is so you're supporting the people with the causes they believe in.
Yeah, something I can say.
I mean, that is an enduring challenge, isn't it? Because charities do need teams to run, particularly the big ones. But how much of, and it's a conversation we've had on the podcast plenty of times in the past, how much of the money actually goes to the cause that you're aiming to support? And the bigger the charity gets.
That's what worries me.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, that's one for the future. It'd be interesting. I reckon this is what we do, right? Round table, smaller charities, bigger charities, and we talk about impacts in terms of donations. I think that'd be really interesting.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, we'll do that. So anyway, let's talk about the question of the podcast. The question of the podcast is, what is the best band name you've ever heard? Now, the reason being, and I forgot the name of the band that I heard the other day.
Well, that's not great, is it?
Well, it's not great, is it? It was Pigeons.
That's not how you spell
with. I know it's how you spell Pigeons. But the name of the band that I loved the other day was Pigeons Playing Ping Pong. Check them out on Spotify. They are amazing. Bit of funk soul vibe. Feels a bit Jamiroquai-ish, but with a rock tint. So bit of Spin Doctors in there as well. Love Pigeons playing ping
I think
pong.
you had a similar reaction to the Narcissist Cookbook.
Now that's a good name for a band. Is it a band or is it the
I don't know. I think it's just a guy, but I don't know because I'm not sure if he's just doing the voice over it and it's someone else playing the music, or if
Have you heard any of the other stuff or not?
yeah, other than Ghost Stories, yeah, I've had a couple of the other ones.
And is it him?
Yeah, same guy. But I don't know if it's the same guy doing the music.
Is it a vegetarian Narcissist Cookbook or is it an actual?
I've read the other cookbook,
What one?
the Anarchist cookbook.
Is that a vegetarian cookbook, Russ?
No,
I mean, I can't imagine anarchists being particularly worried about not eating animals. I reckon they eat anything they want. You know, meat,
Well.
veg, their own fingers. I'm an anarchist.
that's where my
I don't care.
went.
Meat, veg, their own fingers. Stuff out the bit. No, you know what? I don't know any anarchists. Maybe I'm prejudging anarchists. Maybe they're just.
Yeah, I reckon they just eat food.
I don't know. There's many levels of anarchy in there.
How did we? Talking of cookbooks, do you want to go back to your vegetarian cookbook again, Russ? What's the best dish in your vegetarian cookbook?
The mushroom burger looks very nice.
So you haven't tried any of it yet.
No, I only got them yesterday.
All right.
Oh,
Fair enough. So, if you want to answer the question of the podcast, what's the best band name you've ever heard? You can do this using the following social media channels.
Crikey, it's been so long since we've done this. So Twitter is olloatthekindnessproject.co.uk. If you want to find us on Facebook, you just type The Kindness Project into the search bar. If you want to find us on Google, we should be at The Kindness Project Podcast. If you want to find us directly at the page, don't even bother going to Google. Straight to that bar at the top, www.thekindnessproject.co.uk. No forward slashes or nothing, just click your buttons.
Just click your buttons.
If you want to email us directly without going through the faff of finding the email on the website, it's older@thekindnessproject.co.uk. And if you want to find us on any other social media platform, please get in touch with Russ so we can set up the social media platform so you can further contact us on that social media platform.
If you'd like to get him, see what Russ is up to in his personal life, just go to www.ilovetheanarchist cookbook and the vegetarian cookbook.co.uk.gov. Look at his face.
How we got that approved, we will never know.
Look at his face. He's not impressed by that.
That look is disdain.
Is that look disdain? You do realise we're on a podcast and our audience can't tell what you're looking at.
That look is disdain and fear.
Yeah, fear of the veg, not the anarchists. On that note, let's move on to.
Can you truly feel what you really are?
Do you reckon Russ is an anarchist in disguise?
No.
I'm
No, he's not.
definitely not.
He's not. That's the problem. We're painting him to be an anarchist, and
He's not.
actually, he's a very lovely bloke, isn't he? He doesn't chew his own fingers much. Let's move on to kindness news.
Kindness news.
Let's talk about the first bit of good news this week from the Good News Hub. From Kindness News, Australia reduces. Do you edit this, Russ? Do you actually edit this?
No, this goes in raw.
Like most of your restaurant, like most of your diet at the minute. Australia reduces plastic waste on beaches by 30%.
That's good for them.
Good for them. Plastic waste on beaches in Australia has declined by nearly 30% in the last 6 years. That's a lot. The reduction is thanks to a wide range of initiatives put in place by local councils across the country. These include installing extra bins, putting up signs reminding people not to litter, and a hotline to report illegal dumping.
It's a surprise and really heartening to see this change in a short period of time, says Dr. Denise Hardesty. Is it Denise or Dennis? Anyway.
Denise.
A marine debris CSIRO, an Australian government body for scientific research. They put together a team who surveyed 183 beaches in 2013 and again in 2019 to compare the differences. The study set out to find what factors and underlying behaviours would help to reduce coastal plastic waste. Lead researcher Dr. Catherine Willis said she was surprised by how quickly the plastic waste went away. This group found that beaches that had cleaned up the most had successfully implemented a range of cleanup initiatives. In councils where do not litter signs were put up and bins were provided, there was a decrease in littering. However, where do not litter signs were erected but inadequate or bins not provided, the opposite effect was observed. Plastic rubbish increased in these locations. The most successful councils also found that financial incentives work to decrease litter. This includes council offering a rebate when taking plastic bottles to a waste centre. Cleanup programs like Cleanup Australia Day and volunteer beach cleanup days were also effective strategies. Although it seems like most news stories about plastic are negative, Dr. Hardesty looked at it through a positive lens. People ask me all the time, "Oh my gosh, is it so depressing that you work on plastic and it's just everywhere and growing?" And I tell them, actually, it's also kind of a story of hope and optimism.
I mean, that is an amazing reduction in that level. And what it goes to show is these things can be solved if we take action. I think the eye opener for me was the Attenborough documentary when he was talking about the amount of plastic in our oceans. But we can take active measures, as the Australian study's shown, to actually make our environment a better place. So well done the people who are looking into that. Next news article, and this is from positive.news, is can art save our high streets? In Yorkshire, it's already happening. When big retailers abandoned one English town, locals got creative. Now it's high street is anything but dead.
Stilt walkers stalk the pavement and a flash mob suddenly appears from behind a row of neon mannequin legs within a former department store.
Sorry, just stopping the news story at the minute. Raz, when we go on our boat trip, do you mind bringing your stilts? Stilts.
Russ.
Know what the old man said? Know what Daddy said to me this morning?
Yeah, go on.
Am I bringing the scaffolding plank?
The what?
I said, you'll be the only one that's walking the plank. I've already spoke to Chris. He's going to form a revolt with me.
Well, no. It's not called a revolt. I mean,
it's called a mutiny.
It's getting really, now the train strikes on. Russell is turning into a proper little militant.
That's right.
If we decide to revolt on a boat, though, Russ,
it's called a mutiny.
It is called a mutiny.
Lucky I
Boat terminology.
Anyway, but back to the thing. He's not bringing his stilts, unfortunately.
Or the wooden plank, it seems. Visitors to Cayley were told to expect the unexpected via a series of free events as they browsed businesses and explored an arts trail during the K-Town weekend at the end of March. It was the latest project by Cayley Creative, a volunteer-led arts organisation which is based in the former Sunwin House department store in the town. A lot has been said recently about how art has the potential to save our high streets, so we feel immensely proud to be one of the first to be actually doing that, says Emma Rochford from the project. Not in a city, but in a northern town with real community values. After taking on the former shop as a meanwhile space in 2017, the team has already opened up a gallery, a project, and an education space, and several artist studios, as well as running the Cayley Arts and Film Festival. Following the success of the K-Town weekend, the team wants to develop their plans and have received funding for a permanent home. On the wish list is an exhibit space, a cafe, up to 50 studios, a mini cinema, and a cluster of boutique retail and food spaces. As Cayley Creative's manager and creative producer, Gemma Hobbs puts it, creativity, community, collaboration. Together these can help save our high streets.
You know what? It's really interesting. Where we are on the edge of London, our biggest local town is a place called Romford. It's a market town, and it's gone through some ups and downs throughout its time. And then a few years ago, they opened this place called the Retailery. Okay, and it was a It was a bar. They did live events there. It was a shared workspace for startups. It was an artist space, so they used to display art there. And you know what? And it was made by it was opened and run by a community of creatives in the area. And weirdly,
What year was that?
I I can't remember.
18, 19?
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. It was probably about 4 or 5 years ago. It's been recently been taken over by the council, which, in my opinion, takes away from the authenticity of what it was designed to do. But I think you're going to see over the next few years. You know, if I want to buy something, I do it online. Okay, I'm not a shop. I know that plenty of people like going to shops, but what I will go out and see in a high street or a city centre is something creative, something exciting, something that's going to be an experience.
2019, Romford had its first ever Pride, and I was really excited. And it's the first time I'd been excited to go to Romford High Street.
Yeah,
because.
Yeah, but it's events like that that are going to create the atmosphere that are going to bring people into town centres, isn't it? You know, it's not going to be, you know, if you can just jump online and get whatever you need to from a retail perspective, the experiential bits, in my opinion, I'm not an expert, but the experiential bits, in my opinion, and the bits you want to go out and see. So I think good like that is amazing news in terms of places in the world that are effectively building their towns around creating environments where it's fun to go to the town centre, which is amazing stuff.
Not on Russ's list. Sorry to go a bit rogue, Russ. I appreciate all the work you do for us, and it's a great support to us every time we record. 97-year-old man took his maths GCSE.
Oh yeah, that is a bit of good news. Yeah. There was a. Do you want to tell that story?
Yeah. So I have a lot of news pings on my phone, so I just wake up first thing you want to do. You don't want to, just read the news. And
that's a bad habit. No, that is a problem. Taking your mobile phone into the bedroom is a poor habit.
Anyway, first ping of the day: 97-year-old man set to be the oldest person to ever sit a GCSE.
Love it.
And then they wrote an article after he'd sat the GCSE.
Did he pass?
Oh, we don't know yet.
All right.
And he was like, "I'm really proud I've done this GCSE, and I'm happy I've done it."
But you know what? I mean, Charlotte told me about the story earlier in the week, Russ, and it's something we talk about all the time. Like, not always on the podcast, just sort of us three.
Yeah, we just have a chinwag.
When we're just having a chinwag. That constant learning, that constant desire to be a little bit better in your life.
Yeah.
Even at the age of 97, keeping intellectually engaged, I think is amazing. So
I think that's a good way to keep your mind sharp.
Yeah. What was the GCSE in?
Maths.
So you did a maths GCSE. If you had to or wanted to, what would you go back and study, Russ?
Probably computing. If I was more academic, I probably would have gone for an IT degree.
Yeah.
If I was more academic.
Yeah, well, there's nothing stopping us if that's what you want to do with your life. So
I'm not academic in that sense, but I do strive to understand, which is important when learning.
Yeah, 100%.
See, I did a qualification that was when I initially signed up for it. They were like, "Yeah, it'll probably be IT," and I went in there and they had us doing creative eye media. Yeah. So it's 25% exam, 75% coursework, and it's a lot of digital creation, digital stuff like that, and then also a lot of fact finding. So it's sort of research. It was really good. I never finished it because COVID, but other than that.
Oh no, that's a shame. Was it only deliverable phase then, or not?
Yeah, because you had to have all the equipment.
Oh, gotcha.
And no, because it stopped.
Yeah,
It was like all of school just stopped.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
So there was
Everybody
no
was in-
teaching, there was no anything, because teachers didn't see a point.
But what that story shows, what that story that 7-year-old guy shows is, if you're interested in something, to me it shows a couple of things. Number one, there is a benefit later in life to continue the learning journey because it keeps you engaged and actively involved. It's never too late. And if you're interested in something, like the journey doesn't stop when you leave formal education, does it? It actually, I believe that it benefits us if we carry on learning and developing as humans throughout our lives.
That's where I've learned most of my stuff. I probably forgot most of what I learned at school.
Yeah.
I'm mostly self-taught after school.
School of life for us. It's the best school in the world, isn't it? School of life.
That's it.
Life. Oh, life. Anyway, should we move on to the interview? This week, we've got the last part of our interview with Kevin Gaskell. He's written a book recently called Inspired Leadership about his journey canoeing effectively across the Atlantic with a bunch of people and what he learned about leadership from that experience. It's been amazing to have a chat with Kevin. The other two parts of the interview are in previous episodes. Definitely check them out because there was loads of insight about business and compassion and all sorts of different things. Really enjoyed chatting to Kevin. Should we listen to the last part?
Let's do it.
What role do you think authenticity plays in terms of that? And what I'm talking about is the fact that business leaders often assume that they can't show their own faults or weakness when they're having that conversation. Do you think that's important for leaders to show they're actually human every now and again?
I think it's absolutely critical.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah.
I think it's absolutely fundamental. And I always say, look, just because it says CEO or these days chairman on my door, it doesn't mean anything. The door's open. Take the title off.
Yeah.
Take the title off.
Yeah.
And also for leaders to engage with their team, they need to go and know their team, need to meet their team, need to walk around and just go and meet the people in the business.
Yeah.
And I think, we hear all these things about millennium and Generation Z and Generation this, that, and the other. They're all different. I think the world has moved on, and I'm pleased it's moved on. I'm a little bit cynical about, at the moment, this ESG investing. We only invest in companies that meet these ESG criteria.
Yeah.
And I said, that's nonsense. Sorry. ESG should have been there forever. It's not a new thing.
Yeah.
Equality and governance and treating people properly. I've been doing that for the last 30 years.
Yeah.
I don't consider it. I think at the minute the press have got hold of it and it's a fad. But forget the fad, guys. Just realize that proper leadership is about making sure that those values and that culture and that approach is in the business.
Yeah,
from day one.
I mean, I agree that there's an element, certainly sort of in the day job, there's a lot of noise in our world about, companies that meet these criteria. And I agree with you, a well-run business should meet that criteria as standard without it being needed to be measured. I think the interesting thing, and we'll see this evolve over time, is I do wonder whether it will change cultures, the fact that there is more of a prominence and focus on it being measured. Yeah, I think the jury's still out on that, but it does feel a bit faddy to me as well. So it's certainly an interesting area at the minute. But I think the interesting thing, and the sort of one of the reasons we started this podcast sort of 4.5 years ago was we wanted to highlight the fact that there was sorry, that's the dog. We wanted to highlight that he wants to get involved in the podcast, clearly. We wanted to highlight the fact that most people are doing good stuff in the world, and actually there's plenty of stuff that's positive in the world that that we didn't think was being highlighted enough, and that's part of the reason we wanted to highlight people doing amazing stuff in the world. I know that one of your things is, you know, people most often than not want to do a good job. Tell me a bit about how that manifests itself in leadership.
Yeah, I always say I've never met anybody who comes into work in the morning and wants to do a bad job.
Yeah.
I just don't believe that's the case. There are people who may be in the wrong role, or they're not inspired by the vision that we have for the business, in which case that's a separate conversation. Are they in the right job? Are they in the right company? And if not, I will help them to move somewhere else where they are inspired.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, I believe people want to do a good job, and the challenge is creating the culture to give them that opportunity. So one of the approaches that I take to business, and that's in the other book, that's in the Inspired Leadership book, is using really quite informal processes, but making it visible so that people can contribute, making the plan for the business visible. This is where we're going. This is how we're going to get there. And these are the priorities. Now, how can you help us with your specific knowledge to get to that point? Because, I mean, I ran a boat company a couple of years ago, and it was a big turnaround operation. I don't know anything about running boats. I know a bit about rowing boats now, but we were building £5 million motor yachts. I don't know anything about motor yachts. But what I do know about is building a team to re-energize the business. And that's what we did. And that was a business that had been making losses for 10 years, and we got it back in profit in 14 months with the same people. It was the same people. It didn't change anybody.
Gotcha.
What we did was re-inspire the team. What we did was allow them to make their contribution.
And part of that was about inspiring them to say, here's where we're going, here's what we're going to achieve. What can you know, because they had the technical skills and knowledge, right? You know, they've got the knowledge to do their stuff. Yeah.
So what I do is build the processes, which is a grand way of saying what we do is discuss it with them and write the plan of where we're going to go and invite them to help us to get there.
Yeah.
And then people want to be part of it. People want to be part of it.
Yeah. No, it's great. I love that. Absolutely love that. 2 seconds. I'm going to be back in 2 seconds. I'm just going to let the dog out. Just bear with me. Bex, come on. Come on. Thanks, Kev. Russ is clearly going to edit that bit out.
You hope.
He might not, to be honest. He might not. Yeah, and that brings me on to the point, really. Like you, this is your second book, right?
Yep.
So tell me about inspired leadership, and what do you think it takes to be an inspired leader?
So my first book, which is called Inspired Leadership, is basically 25 years of experience of running businesses in 250 pages. That's how I summarize it, because I get a lot of people approach me. I've probably got 3 this week of people with challenges in their business saying, I hear you're the business fixer. Can you fix this for me?
Right.
And you can't, it's not a magic wand thing. You know, I would say it takes me 100 days to stop the business failing. It takes me 1,000 days to build it back to something that is world class.
Yeah.
So I can't just do it on an email. So what I thought I would do is write a book that I could give to people, say, you want to know how to do it? Go away and read that. Read that. And that book shows you with examples of the businesses that I've turned around, or the businesses I've grown, or examples of when it's gone right and examples when it's gone wrong. It's all in there of how to take a business and take it to an extraordinary level, because we've done that again. And you know, I started off, I just told you 32, I didn't know what I was doing. Well, I know what I'm doing now. I have an approach now.
Yeah.
And I replicate that approach in different businesses. It's not so formulaic that people go, oh, right, okay, so he's going to do this. It's not that. It is sensitive to the environment,
Sure.
but it follows a pattern.
Yeah.
And
it's a system that is flexible enough to evolve, but
exactly.
Also, yeah. And it's an interesting one. I think that element of, I'm assuming from what you're saying that starts with the culture of the business, right? It doesn't start with the numbers. It doesn't start with anything else. It's like, what is this business run like? Is that the starting point?
The starting point is, what do we want this business to look like when it's
the plan, the strategy.
We literally sit down amongst ourselves and say, what does success look like? Let's talk about it. And what will the customer see? And what will the staff see? And what will our suppliers see? What will people see when we are successful? And we start there, and then we work back to where we are.
And it's interesting because like that measurement of success might differ depending on the business, mightn't it? So
absolutely.
You at Pulse might say, right, okay, we want to be the best, the best in terms of customer service. We want to be the best brand. Our clients think we're amazing, and currently they don't. And this is where we need to get to. Yeah.
And we actually used, when we had our first board meeting, when I was in charge, we used that survey, which was, we were number 32 out of 32. We couldn't go any lower.
Yeah.
And it's pretty shocking for a brand like Porsche to realize we were at the bottom of the pile. Yeah. And we said, well, we want to be number one. And people said to me, you're nuts. Number one, you're number 32. And I said, yeah, well, if I don't say number one, what do you want me to say? Number 10?
Yeah.
Number 5?
Yeah. But then does that inspire enough? Would 12 inspire people at all? It's like, well, nobody wants to be 12.
So we said we want to be number one in terms of customer satisfaction. Then we set the whole business out to achieve that. And that's what we did. It took us 4 years, took us 1,000 days to get to number one. But we were number one, and then we were number one again the following year. And that's when I left and went to BMW. But that's what transformed the company. And that's where the people in the team got excited. And I went back a couple of years ago. It's a long time since I was at Porsche. I went back a couple of years ago to do some TV filming there. And many of the same people were in the business, and they were coming out, hey, Kev, how's it going? Do you remember when? And, they all remember the tough times. Not as in, oh, my goodness, oh, it was dreadful. As in, didn't we have fun? Look what we achieved.
Yeah.
And they're so proud of what we achieved together.
I love that.
So that's where it starts. And then within the Inspired Leadership book, it's the tools we use and the processes we use. And I've written it to be friendly. It's not a textbook. It gives little examples of how we did this. And it's got photographs in of us actually doing some of this stuff. Real pictures of the workshops we ran and how we did it.
No, really, really, really interesting. Right now, the dog wants to come back in, so I'm literally last time. I promise. Next up. Right, last time. Thanks, Kev. Appreciate that. Right, so this podcast, Kevin, is all about sharing stories. About people doing amazing stuff in the world, and clearly the rowing expedition you went on, even though there's a lot more adventures to come, clearly the rowing adventure you went on is amazing. What I'm interested in sharing with our audience is a little bit about kind leadership. So how do we use that value of be kind, be good in our lives and our businesses to be more inspiring leaders?
It comes down to personal approach. And I've been brought up, I grew up in a very working class family. And my parents always instilled in me the belief to show respect. Show respect to people. Everybody is somebody's mother or father, son or daughter, sister or brother, everybody.
Yeah.
So respect people as individuals. And so my approach to leadership, and one that I try to foster in the companies where I work, and I've got some great leaders working with me now who share this philosophy, is
to show. Do you look for that in leaders?
Pardon?
Do you look for that value in leaders? That value and respect.
Yeah, I look for people who are empathetic. I look for people who do share. It's the classic interview, isn't it? I'll meet you at a coffee shop, and then afterwards you say, "What did you get the name of the waitress?" Oh yeah, she's called Susie, and you know what she does? This, that, and the other. Great, you've already built a rapport, and it cannot be a false rapport.
Yeah, you know what? I've said this on the podcast before, how people treat people in restaurants and bars is always a fairly good indicator of initially of what they're like. You know, they might be having a bad day or whatever it be, but it's a really interesting sign, isn't it? Don't you think?
Yeah, and in social environments, it's about respecting the people who are providing the service that you're enjoying.
Yeah.
And so kindness to me is about showing that empathy. It is about respecting the individual, because everybody has a job to do in a business. Everybody, and if they don't have a job to do, then why are they there? Why is that job there?
Yeah.
Should we not be engaging that person in something else where they can create more value in terms of their contribution? So it is about showing respect. I mean, examples. To go back to Porsche, which is where it started, I would write a personal Christmas card to everybody in the business. Now that was hundreds of people, but I made sure, and I used to start this in about October, and each one had a personal message in, and I made sure I knew the person, I knew something about them. If I wrote to you, Chris, I hope the podcast's going well. Looking forward to more episodes next year. Merry Christmas. It was a personal message.
It means a lot. Yeah.
And people still today talk about that as wow. And you know what? It wasn't cynical, because I did it because we didn't have enough money. We were struggling. The business was in terrible trouble. So I didn't have enough money to pay people bonuses at Christmas. So what I did was say thank you.
Yeah.
And, so it took me some hours each week to write all these cards, but I meant every one of them.
Yeah, love it.
And so that's what I mean about showing respect to people.
Yeah. And it's, as you say, it's that genuine empathy where people know that you care. And interestingly, I think that genuine empathy is just as important when you've got to make difficult decisions as a business owner, right? So it's one of those things where, I've had to make people redundant and felt terrible about doing that. But it's the right thing to do for the business, and understanding that this is a particularly tough thing for them.
Yeah.
And supporting, guiding them through it, helping them find a new opportunity, and sort of giving them, helping them make sure that the transition for them is as smooth as possible. And I think that empathy really pays off, particularly when you've got to make difficult decisions. What do you think about that?
Right, we'll just pause there because I've got somebody at the gate. Hello. Could you just pop it on the wall? Is that possible? Thank you very much. Bye.
Kev, you've made me feel better. I'm glad it wasn't only me who had.
There's only me here.
Yeah.
I can't even turn that buzzer off.
Yeah. But okay, so talk to me about. Luckily, Russ is a really good editor, Kev, so he'll be able to make this look seamless, right, Russ?
He's off letting the dog out.
Yeah. Okay, so talk to me about, I think sometimes that empathy is really, really useful when you've, particularly as leaders, you've got to make tough decisions. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely critical, because I'm here speaking about being kind to people, but at the end of the day, my responsibility is for the success of the business. And so I did have to make very difficult decisions, and I have made people redundant in a number of the businesses that I've run. Mm-hmm. But you try to do it in a very honest manner, because it is an incredibly painful thing to do. You're affecting people's lives, and so I've always tried to do it in a way that, exactly as you said, we look after them. We pay them absolutely as much as we can, over and above statutory minimum, to help them to move on, and then give them support and coaching and advice. Yeah. It is a very tough thing to do, but at the end of the day, my responsibility
is to the business.
Legally is to the shareholders of the business.
Exactly.
I have to make tough calls.
Yeah, and as you say, if you do it with honesty and empathy, I think that's the way to do it. Now, you've talked a little bit about your next adventure in 2024. Is that the next one coming up, or have you got one in 2023?
No, I've got one this year as well.
Oh, cool.
So this year we're going to go and canoe the Yukon River through Alaska.
Right.
But that's just, I mean, it's not particularly demanding. We're going with the current, so it's 1,000 miles through Alaska.
Amazing.
Camping wherever we stop each night, avoiding the bears, and just enjoying the amazing scenery. So that's planned for this year.
Who's going? Who's on the adventure with you?
Well, I hope I've got some friends going. So I've got friends who've said, "Oh, we'd love to come with you on an adventure, but we're not doing. Oh no, we're not doing. Oh no, we're not doing that. We're not going up that mountain." And
so you try to pick one that's
just
relatively moderate,
just a bit gentler. And so I put it to them, and they said, "Yeah, I'd love to." And I said, "Well, bring your kids. They've got teenage sons."
Okay.
I said, "Bring the kids." So
what an adventure! Love it.
Me and my son and a few friends go canoe through Alaska.
Perfect. That sounds really good. That sounds really good. And then the big one, 2024. How long's that going to be?
The big one's 2024, and that's rowing from California to Hawaii. How long? Anywhere up to 60 days at sea. So we'll see.
Yeah, amazing. Love that. Absolutely love that. And where can people find out about you, the work you do, the books, if they want to understand and find out more?
Yeah, so my website is kevingaskell.com. So kevingaskell.com.
Yep.
And the books, you can get to the books through the website, or put my name in Amazon and the books will pop up. Or just follow me on Instagram and see what's going on. We put the adventures on Instagram, and that feeds Facebook. And you can keep up with the adventures and what's happening in the businesses and some of the amazing people I'm lucky enough to meet. And it's all there.
Great stuff. Thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, Chris. Thanks for the invitation.
You're welcome. So that was the last part of the interview. Hopefully you enjoyed that. And yeah, one thing I did want to mention was, if you know anybody who you think would be really good to come on the podcast, we would love to hear from you. We are really lucky that a lot of the people who appear on the podcast are introduced to us or approach us now, but we are relying on our audience and our listeners to let us know who the kind people are in your life.
Who's who in the kindness world?
Who is who in the world of kindness? And we would love to interview some different, diverse people to do that. So let us know who you'd like us to interview, and we'll get in touch with them. Now,
tis the end of another podcast.
Now, have we spoken about the mugs on the podcast? Yeah. Tis the end. So what we want to do is have a quick chat about what I want to do is a massive thank you to our resident anarchist vegetarian, Russell Daves, because he did something amazing recently. Because Charlotte's just finished her A-levels, he decided to buy a little gift. And that gift, I don't know why I'm holding it up, Russ has seen them already, but this gift was a mug, a Kindness Project mug, which printed inside at the bottom of the mug is "'Tis the End." Now, you'll know, listeners, if you're a regular listener to the podcast, we've been talking about these mugs for years. Like, we've wanted Kindness Project merch that was basically a mug with "'Tis the End" written on the bottom. Russ, the man he is, just made that
the legend.
Happen. The legend.
The icon.
Now, I said to Charlotte when they came through, right, you need to give Russ a buzz and say thank you, Russ. And I listened to that call and know that Charlotte was genuinely excited and genuinely really, really grateful for you doing that. So thank you.
You're going to make me emotional, mate.
And I hope you appreciate I hope you appreciated the thank you tweet, because I haven't tweeted in a while and I don't know if I got the format right.
I cannot tell you how happy I was to get that call. I was so pleased for you.
That's so cool.
They are cool. And along with a number of other mugs, she will be taking it to uni. So and I've got a feeling that will be her favourite uni mug, won't it, Charlotte?
It'll be the first one on Mug of the Week.
Oh yeah. Have we talked? No, we're talking about Nugget of the Week next week.
We've
right?
talked about Mug of the Week on the podcast before.
We need to revisit that because I want to understand a bit more about the format. Let's though do last week's question of the podcast this week, which was, what's your favourite pasta? And I'll go first. I like a bit of ravioli because you can stuff it. Steve Dan said lasagna. Mike Christie said macaroni with bacon and onions. Carol Housey said rigatoni. Don't do the accent, Chris.
No.
With a creamy tomato sauce and mushrooms, please. Now she said, please, like we're gonna deliver it to her house. That's not gonna happen. Stacey Keane said,
I like all pasta, but like Carol needs a tomato-based sauce for me. I misread the tone on that entirely. Sorry.
But like Carol needs a it sounds like Carol's part of the dish. Robert King said gnocchi. Emma Stevens said not spaghetti. Sam Chilton said any pasta eaten al fresco in Italy. Alison Hagen's gone a bit rogue. Fusilli with ketchup and grated cheese. Now I think you've got to go for a better tomato situation with that.
Yeah, like a passata or
That's a pauper's dinner, isn't it?
That is pasta with a bit of tomato ketchup. What would make it worse if it was a Happy Shopper ketchup? Sandra
You know what?
Brussels said, "Oh no," but it's like he knows what Happy Shopper ketchup is.
You know what? Let me try and redeem this. What if you added sweet corn to it?
No, still paupers. Sandra Conningson said lasagna, and she also loves macaroni. And Heidi Ball said cannelloni. And on that note, on quite an interesting episode of the Kindness Project, I'd like to wish you a lovely evening.
Afternoon, day, morning.
Day, whatever time you're listening to this.
Is it lunchtime?
And
are you listening to this over lunch?
And we look
for lunch? Is it pasta?
You're done? And we look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.